everybody. I'm Karen Hartglass. You're listening to It's All About Food. Thank you for joining me. We're going to have fun today, I think.
I hope.
Yeah, we're going to start with my dear friend, Vlad Grinberg, the OG of OG.
It's so unusual to talk to you on a Zoom
On a Zoom
in my home instead of
at
being
the restaurant.
in the usual place at the restaurant, right?
Vlad started the organic grill. That's what we call OG, and he's the originator, so he's the OG of OG, and that was 24 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, no pressure. OG of OG, huh?
No pressure. So number one, it's amazing that any restaurateur can last this long.
It definitely shows either about my resilience or my stupidity. Yeah.
And you've had your challenges. Okay, not only do you serve up wonderful vegan food that's organic, and I like to say real. Okay, I'm with Responsible Eating and Living. Our acronym is REAL. Your food is real. Okay, it's made from whole, minimally processed foods, and that is something to really celebrate because we're seeing less and less of that. Maybe we can talk about that later. But then you had challenges upon challenges. So how long were you in your original space before you had to move?
In the original space, we were about 23 years, maybe a little more. And then they sold the building. And even though we had a little bit of lease left, we decided to find a new space.
Yeah, so you were in the East Village, which was a fun location. And now, what's the neighborhood in? It's right by the Blue Note. What's that neighborhood called?
I would assume it's Greenwich Village or West Village.
West Village, yeah. It's a great location. A lot of things happening there. And the space is, I like it. It's brighter and more open. You probably have a few more tables. But the pandemic happened just right around after you moved?
No, I think that we took almost full pandemic in our old place and then moved it when it was kind of at the end of it. Yeah,
right.
Pandemic was really kind of way for us to reevaluate things. My whole family is very intimately involved at the organic grill. My wife, my stepdaughter, who has been manager for organic grill for 10 years, and then she moved to doing personal chefing, and she was on Food Network competitions a couple of times. So we kind of sat down and decided, should we, and started to kind of evaluate, should we go on or shouldn't we go on? Because we kind of proved our point. We had our years and years of work, neighborhood change, everything changed, and we decided, should we go on or not? And we figured out that we have so much energy and desire and hopefully passion left in us that we just don't want to stop. And we did it, and it was kind of an interesting time, because at the time when we were completely closed for 3 or 4, I think 3 months maybe, we were talking to our customers on the phone, giving them recipes, because we transfer the phone, so it would go directly to my cell phone, and people would call, thinking they call in the restaurant, and I would give them suggestions what to cook at home. It kind of definitely gave us connection, and we did some streaming from our house and Instagram. And I definitely cooked way more than I cooked in a restaurant, because we were trying to save some of the produce, and we took a lot of it home. And me and my wife, we were like, wow, I don't remember when was the last time I was cooking almost 24/7. So we did a lot of cooking and a lot of eating.
Yeah, we all got through that crazy time.
Right, but it definitely kind of was a litmus test for for us as a team because we worked with very limited, I would say extremely limited personnel, and everything was on us doing everything. And hopefully we survived and kind of proved ourselves what's important for us, what's not that important. It was very interesting time to reflect.
We're getting more and more vegan restaurants and food establishments in all 5 boroughs and Manhattan and Brooklyn. I live in Queens. We have a few. What frustrates me about many of them are fast food. They serve different kinds of burgers. They use paper plates or plastic, whatever. It's all fast and to go. And so I'm thinking, okay, if people want to eat fast food, it should be vegan. Okay, so that's a good thing. But when I go out to eat, I want the real dining experience. And the other layer, not just regarding fast food, but there's so many manufactured foods now, it's driving me insane. More restaurants that used to make their own burgers now use the Beyond Burger and the Impossible Burger. And that's not food to me. That's highly researched, highly processed, invented, man-made, I don't know what. Okay, it doesn't have animal flesh in it. That's a good thing, but they're not food. And it's very frustrating that the trend is going that way. And there's a few, you probably know them, upscale vegan restaurants. They've got great ambiance, gorgeous, but they're serving Beyond Meat, Impossible Meat, Chunk, and everything is not real. So you're one of the few. You've been here a long time, and I'm hoping this fake food thing is a trend and it ultimately goes away and you'll still be here. But thank you for doing what you do. I don't know who appreciates it, but I certainly do.
I mean, you're definitely old school and went through transformation and kind of eliminating unwanted items from your, I wouldn't say diet, but from your daily routine, right? And I had a different stages of my own attitude towards this. And my theory is that at the time when we started, vegan food, whole foods movement was more like an anomaly, right? It wasn't necessarily conventional food route. Okay, now and probably it's a good thing. It became a business. Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it was always definitely a way of earning, right? But it wasn't a business. If it wouldn't be that we do it this way, there is no need for me to be in food business, right? I'm not a professional chef. I kind of fell into it and loved it and learned around the industry and kind of took what's important to me. But probably this is at least business-oriented approach because serving organic offers you less margin, right?
Yep.
Doing it unprocessed requires skilled personnel, okay, and obviously more time and again more labor costs. So I'm not trying to say that we are better. It's just completely different. For some food businesses, it's a way of making living, and they probably would do something else if not vegan food. And so they're looking for most efficient way, and most efficient way is to bring processed, less labor intense food. And also we have to understand that there are different people that have different desires and different needs. At the beginning, it was just whole foods and unprocessed, but now a lot of people are kind of looking for this food.
Yeah, I know.
Right. So, is our way better? Hopefully, is.
I think so.
Right, but also some people are going to those you mentioned exquisite and elite restaurants, all right, and using some innovative processed ingredients, allowing them to do certain eloquent dishes that probably hard to make from unprocessed ingredients. So it's more choices for everyone, and as long as they're not the way I kind of explain it to myself, as long as they're not doing it on a daily basis, eating junk food, maybe it's not that bad.
Right.
But also we need to understand the trends are not always going toward the route that is good for us, because society is offering us all sorts of things, and we have to decide what's better for us, because everything starts with good intentions, everything, right? We was thinking of how to refrigerate the food, okay, and first it was just ice and refrigerators, then we started to use ingredients that keep our food forever fresh, right? Then it's not that good. Then somebody were thinking how to preserve the harvest, and that's where GMO came about, right? It's always good intentions, right? But how we using it is, then all of a sudden somebody decided that animals have to be fed with grains, all right? Once you do it unnaturally, you have to use antibiotic for animals to preserve their health, right? So it's always those advanced moves that may be saving money for someone, not necessarily good for society. Do we have to follow? I think we always have a way to control things with our pocket, okay? And we are not always very persistent. Do we admire KFC or Dunkin' Donuts having all those vegan products, right? Are they good for us? I don't know, because they still doing fryers with animal oil and stuff like this. So I don't know. I don't have an answer, and I decided that I just do what's good for me, because otherwise I don't want to be in this business. It's a crazy business. It's a lot of hustle, probably unnecessary suffering, which I'm accustomed to already. Okay, and I just do what I think is good for me, my family, and hopefully for my customers and our customers that became friends over the years.
Now, in the older restaurant in the East Village, you had developed somewhat of a community,
Right.
and your menu reflected that, because you would name some of your burgers after people that would come into the restaurant or people that were pretty known in the community. And then you moved, and now you're trying to recreate or maybe reinvent in this new space with arts, music, culture, and ultimately creating community.
Yes, we obviously we loved East Village, and East Village at the time we opened was kind of a golden era of veganism. On a 10 blocks, we had like 12 restaurants, Angelica Kitchen,
Right.
Caravan of the Dreams that were way ahead of us in the effort. Let's say thank you to Angel, who is my friend for many years. It was all supported by artists, by underground punk bands. Like next door, we had Prana, a health food store, and that was the reason I opened Organic Grill, because I wanted to be right next to it. And all of those punk musicians and straight age era musicians. They all worked in this place. They would come to Organic Grill. We would come to see them. So it was kind of a community that we loved. Thompson Square Park. Every concert we would bring food to the musicians to kind of celebrate them and make sure they're eating good. And so it was definitely something that was very close to our heart. When we moved from a place where everybody knew us, people would come to Organic Grill and say, oh, you guys knew? I was like, what about 4 years we were 10 blocks away from here?
It's a whole nother world.
Right. But at the same time, it has its own interesting culture. Comedy Cellar is across the street. Blue Note is next door. And we have a lot of jazz aficionados who are long-term vegans coming to eat our food. So all of a sudden, we got inquiries. Can we play at your place? I would play. We have 30 seats. Where are you going to play? But we figured out. And over the last year, almost every day, we have live music. We have comedy shows. We have poetry. We have activist events. Thank you to Plant Power Disruptors, Phil and Dasha, who are helping us to make all sorts of events. Vegan Got Talents. We have vegan karaoke nights. But ultimately, I thought, like, why it attracts me so much? And I thought about it and explained it to me that I hope that over the years, people kind of defined it to themselves that we are a good place to eat. But what if we would bring additional fun and joy of highlighting and showcasing live performers, artists, poets, comedians, who making our life so special. All of our events are free, okay? And some people just fell into this as they come into the restaurant. All of a sudden, we have live music or we have comedy nights. It all brings its own flavor to the space. And hopefully now when you go to Organic Grill, you know that you are in for a treat. And it's like additional benefit to good food. That's how I kind of see it. And we have a lot of new shows, new ideas in our sleeves that we are looking forward to share with you guys.
I love it. I wish I lived next door.
Oh boy, I wish you live next door. Every time you and your husband coming in, it's like a treat for me. I'm going to learn all the news. I'm going to know about guests on your podcast. It's always like a fresh air to me.
Well, I just love the way you do everything in the restaurant.
Oh, I can tell you a lot of problems that I'm not happy with too.
Please, you're welcome to share your problems. But I just want to say I love teas.
Oh wow.
And you buy quality bulk tea and you serve them in these gorgeous stainless tea presses. And I looked for them online. I don't even think they make them anymore. But I just love all the details. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have a huge catalog of teas and infusions and coffees that definitely makes our beverages unique for sure.
Yeah, anyway, I've ranted enough on this show about how I feel about tea bags. And, I don't want a cup of tea that's stuffed in paper or in like pantyhose, the nylon sacks that they make sound so lovely. It's just like, it's disgusting. Anyway, you do everything right.
We are so lucky to find our purveyors over the years, and some of them are small family businesses and literally have their families in India sending harvest to states, and they distribute it to us. Amazing. We are so lucky. If anybody wants to inquire, I'll definitely give you the names.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, that's something that we want to do. And honestly, my whole journey in food business is drives me by being an underdog. We never had big financial support. Okay, we never had connections that are right. We are not supposed to succeed.
Right.
In general sense of success, and we still have a one location after 24 years. Okay, some people would expand and expand and expand. We just doing our part and we enjoy doing this. Could we do more? Probably. Okay, and maybe it's still in our cards. Okay, but for me it's almost like a proof to my family, to my children, of what you can do by having nothing. And the fact that we had nothing doesn't mean that we can't offer nothing. Okay, we have a lot to, and somebody didn't think that we have potential or see us as weird and unskilled, but look at us now, and we still doing our things with pride. And for somebody it's maybe not enough. For us it's fulfilling and challenging.
Okay, we're going to change it up a bit in a minute, but I just have a quick question or two, which is, why did you start with this vegan thing, and how long ago was that? And who was your influence?
All right, so I'm one of those people who kind of fell into this literally. And I don't want to go to details because it's kind of personal, but a family member got sick, and when we figured out that she is sick, it was my mom. It was kind of too late to get a conventional treatment, and we got a conclusion from very esteemed Cancer Institute in New York, Sloan Kettering, that she has about a month to live. And she was a very strong woman. She was a champion of the country in running. She was definitely not ready for this verdict, and we didn't know what to do. So this lady with limited English went to local Brooklyn library and found a pamphlet, maybe like 12 pages, about macrobiotic food. Decided that she goes to retreat. And I thought to myself, how am I going to let her go? Somebody's going to sell her snake oil, and she's going to be happy to take it. Not that I know what's snake oil and what's real. Okay, but I thought I want to be part of it and just spend whatever time left with her, because as a youngster, I went home out of my house early for study, for other things, and let me just spend time with her. So I went to this retreat not knowing anything about it, probably got my hot dog on the way to that place. And when I went there, was a completely different environment. Like when I went to Sloan Kettering Hospital, all I experienced was despair and lack of hope. And all of a sudden, I was treated and greeted by people also on the last leg, and accompanied by their family members, willing to change the narrative. Okay, it was amazing for me. So and especially that I have a background of being a social worker for like 20 years. I was in private practice as a therapist. So let me just learn about this. What makes these people to want to live, right? When they're facing terminal diagnosis. And one of my favorite author is Viktor Frankl. I don't know if you know about him, but he is a famous psychologist who was in Auschwitz and created a group of people around himself. Okay, and he kind of was a founder of what do you call it? He wrote a book, person in search for meaning, okay? And he created existential psychotherapy. So everybody who was in his group survived. So for me, it was always like what do they do different when everybody is in despair and kind of indifferent whether they live or die, and some people stay. Sometimes it's not depending on severity of diagnosis, but on something else. So I was kind of curious, excited to learn about more regarding this approach, macrobiotic food, and they had a wonderful experience. They were teaching us how to cook. They were teaching us how to use positive mental attitude and how food affecting disease, which even though I went to conventional psychology school back in Ukraine at the time, I knew nothing about, to my shame. So it was kind of a great experience. And when we came back, to make the story short, my mom lived another 8.5 years, very,
Wow.
very productive life, but she became an ambassador of veganism. Every time I had a party, she cooked for my friends, never told them it was vegan. So that's where I kind of decided there is no such a thing as vegan food. Food is either tasty or not tasty. I don't know about you, but I wasn't born vegan, so I had a flesh before, and this mysterious flesh not necessarily tasted well or great every time. It was
Yeah.
about seasoning, about
Sure.
skills. So it's all about food quality. And I always joke that if you come into Organic Grill, as long as you're not allergic to good food, you're fine. All right. So when my mom passed, we decided to open a restaurant, right?
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing for us that is more than just business.
It's a great story. And I think now hospitals slowly, they're not quite there yet, but more and more are moving to integrated approaches so that if you have a disease, they're incorporating more about nutrition and meditation and a positive attitude. It's not mainstream, but they are moving in that direction
Yeah,
because
this is just a way, again, alternative for people who are who can take it as a route. It's not for everybody. I don't think it's a panacea, but in our case, we were so lucky it worked for us, and I cherish it. And I kind of see our journey in restaurant as a way of, maybe it's too pompous to say it, but almost my way of paying back or paying forward, and making it a little bit easier for people who come into us with questions. I never ask you, are you vegan or not vegan? How this is my business, right? But if I can help you, if I can tell you something, if I can bribe you with food, if I can get you addicted to our food, good for me.
I love it. My whole thing in the vegan movement incorporates so many different things. I started doing it because I didn't want to kill animals, but then I realized it was the best thing for my health and the best thing for the environment. And I can't do enough to share all of that for people to understand. And you talk and say maybe it's not for everybody, but I think the medical community really needs to start incorporating nutrition and preventative methods into their education system and in their way of treatment. I mean, it's ridiculous, all the people that have chronic disease today and are suffering, and it's so unnecessary. We know the answers to so many people who are sick today, but that's another story.
Right. I just food is becoming a factory, okay? Not even a factory, almost like a huge warehouse of goods, okay? The quality may not be there. If anybody who is not in food industry, forget about ethical aspect, would understand what it takes to keep animals as a food and process. It's a horrible aspect. And me as a person who started, like I said, by accident, it took a lot of iteration and transformations to hopefully become, I don't know, more ethically inclined vegan. And it's a constant journey, and it's a constant tribulations, back and forth again. But now it became part of me, and it's as important as just eating plant-based. But again, it's a journey for everyone.
Absolutely.
And we can see plant-based processed food as something positive that helps people to become vegan, but it also kind of let them leapfrog and jump through stages and not to understand the beauty of whole foods and ethical aspect of being a vegan. So it's kind of a give and take all the time.
Yep, very true. Okay, Vlad, you wanted to bring something special to this interview. And so
somebody
we have
special.
Someone, and let's see here.
So I told you we have a lot of secrets in our sleeve, and Rory Lutz is one of the biggest secrets. Okay,
Rory Lutz, welcome to It's All About Food. Thanks for joining us.
How are you guys?
So Rory is a
What-
comedian.
Did Vlad just call me a Snickers? That's a joke.
So we approached Rory to help us to create a show that we mutually called Comedy Kitchen. And please tell us a little more what we kind of came up with.
Oh, okay. So Vlad reached out. I had done a show at OG a while ago. And he reached out. And he liked my style of comedy, which is kind of conversational and interactive, as well as written jokes. But I do enjoy speaking to an audience, and he finds that entertaining. So he reached out and had an idea, for lack of a better term, for a comedy show that included a lot of interactions and crowd work. His quote, to quote him, he said, "I would like the comedians to say things that they have never said and will never say again." So he's looking to create a one-of-a-kind environment. At the same time, he has a vision with it, and I agree with the passion as well and the vision, a show where people come back. So we kind of know each other, and it's like, oh, hey, haven't seen you for 2 weeks. What have you been up to? And then we talk about what they've been up to. And we want to try to wrap it with the vegan message, but not the conventional vegan message, more of like a get you while your guard is down message. So it's kind of like through humor, because there's a nasty rumor going around there on Earth that vegans don't have a sense of humor. Spoiler alert. So I kind of take that and I run with that. On Instagram, I'm Funny Vegan Dude. And I joke about the fact that I joined Instagram 12 years after it was created, and not one person had ever thought to put funny and vegan together because it was still available. So yeah, our idea is to, and also include amazing food. So it's also like we get people to come. We obviously we would like to have a ton of vegans to come, but like vegans, we would like a ton of non-vegans to come so they can leave and say, hey, not only was the food great, but that guy hosting the show was fucking hilarious, you know?
Okay, just briefly, Rory, what's your vegan story?
My vegan story. Okay.
Is it funny?
Well, the origins of vegan stories are never the funny part, right? I think dealing with human beings and non-vegans is where I find humor. My story, I've been vegan for 25 years. I instantly went ethical vegan. I didn't go do it for health reasons or environmental reasons. I always was an animal lover, and I always kind of had this simmering thought process in the back of my head of like that I used to call myself a guilty carnivore, which very, when you think about it, it's like you should have made the move sooner, right? But I can give you two instances that pushed me over the edge. I never was a fisherman, but my friends like to go fishing. So I was a young, and we were out fishing, and I remember we were in Jamaica Bay, and they pulled in this big bluefish. And it wasn't the first time I had been in a boat with fish, right? I always was like, man, that sucks for the fish. But this was one of those moments where I as corny as it sounds, like I looked at the fish's face and I looked at the fish's eyes, and it just kind of clicked, like, Jesus Christ, like this is not okay. I threw the fish back, and I had to swim back to shore. So that was the first instance, and I think that I cut out a bunch of stuff. The last things I struggled with was cream in my coffee. I used to love how the cream would make the coffee nice, light, and sweet. And breakfast, like eggs, I was eating egg whites and cream in my coffee. So then I went to go adopt two kittens from the animal shelter. My mom runs a rescue and adopt, and she took me there to get two kittens. And I remember being in the room with all of these animals and just was completely overwhelmed by the crying and the moaning and the pain and the sadness. And I broke down in tears. And granted, I'm a guy who's almost 6 foot with hand tattoos and rings. I was crying outside of an animal shelter. So that was kind of the last moment where I said enough is enough. And again, I did it ethically. So I like to tell people, ethical vegans are most likely to go the distance because there's a guilt and there's love and there's empathy related to it, as opposed to like maybe environmental, where you just like the earth can take a day off today. You know what I mean? So that was that was almost 25 years ago, and that was way before Beyond Meats, and that was way before any processed food. I was eating salads because I didn't really like tofu. So that's my origin story. It's 25 years later, and now I'm funny vegan dude.
Okay, funny vegan dude. Let's get funny.
Okay, I'd love to.
So when is the show?
Oh, yes. So the show is April 17th. It's 8:30. It's at Organic Grill. I believe the address is 133 West 3rd Street.
Yep.
Okay,
Again,
we'll post
April
that in
17th.
this podcast.
Yeah. And we brought some very funny comedians. In a perfect world, look, I'll be honest with you, I would love to book a completely vegan show, but New York City comedy, the vegan talent kind of takes a steep, there's just so many comics that there's 20 or 30. And also, so one thing I want to say, like, as an ethical vegan, I don't use the term for people who aren't necessarily 100% vegan. So there might be some people out there who are claiming to be vegan who, might not be vegan on Sundays at the church. That's what I can say. So we have Johnny McDonald, we have Sharon Simon, we have Eric Engel, we have Rob O'Toole, and we have Alexis Bradby, all hilarious, very personable, very funny comedians coming on April 17th at 8:30. We'd love to have everyone involved, everyone of all shapes, sizes, colors, lifestyles come through.
Just wanted to add to something that Rory was talking about. First of all, I really thank you, Karen, that you ask him questions. We spoke as we understand where we're coming from, and we had numerous conversations, but never ever we kind of shared our stories. And I knew little bits and pieces about Rory, but never in this full circle. Thank you very much. But I also want to tell you guys about my impression. When I called Rory, all of a sudden he got so excited. Okay, and I said, Rory, we're going to have opportunity to make fun of non-vegans and vegans. Where else can you have this, right? and life. Yes, we are all taking vegan very, very seriously, and we would do a lot to to obviously promote the cause and make it to everybody. But life is so complicated, and it's not black and white. And we're dealing with people who are vegans and not vegan on a daily basis. So why not make it a content of our comedy? And Rory was telling me something that I really wanted to hear. He told me, Vlad, we're going to be gentle, we're going to be attentive, and nobody is going to be leaving offended. I want them to leave feeling that it was fun. And that kind of made it for me. Okay, I trusted him. I said, listen, I'm stepping aside, and I'm sure you'll do great. Okay, especially what do I know? not many options for me. But that was kind of his premise, and that's what I really trusted to start it with him, because it's so important for us not to make judgments, not to pass judgments, and who are we to tell these people what's right, what's wrong. But if we are fun, if we are giving them gift of humor and good food, hopefully they appreciate it.
Okay, so what's funny about vegans?
Woo! Where do we start? What's funny about non-vegans too, right?
Oh yeah, and non-vegans. Yeah. So
Well, I find humor in like my diet. Like I'm a vegan, and most people would assume like we live healthy lifestyles, and it's like I got news for you. Like the last thing I would describe my lifestyle to be is healthy. Like I believe soda should be its own food group. For instance, like Doritos, the purple Doritos are vegan. I personally think it's hilarious that you can have. So first of all, I think it's hilarious how serious some of us take ourselves, and I agree with what Vlad said about the world being polarized, about it's always black and white, and I really like that about Vlad, how he can live in the middle, because we live in a time where people are taking some very extreme stances, and veganism can be seen as a very extreme stance, but it can also be, kind of funny. You know what I mean? To someone who doesn't necessarily understand where we're coming from, to weigh like a shrimp's life with like, they can't understand the gravity of how like all life is life, right? But at the same time, yeah, there's some humor in thinking that a shrimp is as valuable as like your dad. You know what I mean? Like I can laugh at that, or I do jokes about how I'm out of shape, and most people, when I tell them they're vegan, they're like, "Sure, you don't look like one," and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Does that mean I should be skinnier, or you know what I mean, or like? So there's humor in everything, and I personally, like Vlad said, I assured him that this is not going to be one of those scenarios where we're making fun of the crowd, especially non-vegans. We're lightly roasting and landing the plane, and my particular style is to kind of always give an example of how I'm imperfect before I ever try to point out anyone else's imperfections in a comedic manner. So there's a lot of humor to be found in everything, but the part is the craftsmanship and the experience of understanding how to not hurt anyone's feelings.
well, that's
No,
really an interesting
and it
point,
doesn't mean that
especially in comedy today, because a lot of comedy is about making fun of people, and it does hurt their feelings. And then we got into this whole political correctness and wokeness, and then comedians are feeling like they can't say what they want to say, and
I don't think we can be considered as politically correct people. So just a disclaimer. And to add to what Rory said about what's funny about vegans and not vegans, I can tell you my experience from a side. Every vegan thinks that they are great chefs and that they are nutritionists, and they come up with amazing ideas. Okay, yesterday, I'm not even going like yesterday, somebody decided that 4 burgers that we created are not good enough, and they just want to mix up and create their own burger. So what she came up with to have on a burger, pesto, tzatziki sauce, and cheese, and it tastes wonderful. I was like, with all respect, you can do it at home. You can do it at the organic grill. Period. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, I'm not gonna serve it. I can't do this. All right. Another thing. The lady came in and she told me that she's pre-diabetic. Obviously, she ordered pancakes, right? So she ordered pancakes. I gave her option for whipped cream and agave. Okay, so I put agave on the side. She doesn't touch agave, and she's like, "Can you bring me more whipped cream?" And I was just curious. I'm going to bring you more whipped cream, but why? She's like, whipped cream doesn't have sugar.
Oh,
And I was like, in what world? Whipped cream doesn't have sugar. I'm curious. I'm bringing it to you now. I mean, I don't want you to have a problem here right on the spot. But I was like, where you get this information? Tell me. Or people coming in and they're like, I'm so proud I'm tofu free, soy free. I was like, do you have allergy? She's like, no, but friend of my friend eats tofu and he didn't feel good. I was like, where is this? How intelligent is our conversation? Like, so, and you have this humor every day.
right.
Or non-vegan person comes in and was like, I never tried vegan food. So you never tried potato, you never tried
An apple.
like never ever. And they're like excited how great our potato tastes. Like, wow, vegan food is excellent. I was like, so it's I'm not trying to be sarcastic. It's just unique how intricate our thinking sometimes is, you know?
You should be a stand-up comic, Vlad. You get material every day.
This is my
Vlad is hilarious.
this is my sneaky way in.
I've been saying this is like he's producing the show just so he can do comedy, but he could probably walk across the street to the Comedy Cellar and do 10 minutes tomorrow, to be honest with you.
Okay, so Rory, can you do like a 5-minute thing, a routine or something, or a joke or some improv? Can we play
You want
here?
me to do
Yeah.
5 minutes? That's not
Oh.
exactly how it works.
Okay, so he's
I'm
not on the spot.
sitting on the couch drinking coffee right now, but like I also I try to save the jokes for when people come to pay to see me tell those jokes officially. But yeah, I don't know. Like I think Vlad made a great point about how like everyone automatically becomes like the smartest person in the room the second they decide to be a vegan, and like I went through that phase too of like telling everyone what they should eat and how they should do, and it just kind of got old being yelled at and fired from every job I've ever been on, you know, like. But he like I love the whole whipped cream thing. That like that's my style. It's like I don't drink a lot of water, but I tell myself if I put ice cubes in everything I drink, like I'm drinking water, you know what I mean? I put like extra water into mashed potatoes. I'll just throw an ice cube into soup. I made Dorito soup the other day. I just was like, if I'm gonna eat Doritos, I gotta eat some ice cubes. So I just kind of threw that together. But yeah, yeah, being vegan is funny. Like he said, everyone becomes like a nutritionist all of a sudden. And like I'm a construction worker, so like I said, I kind of look the role of a construction worker. So like I have this approach to veganism where like I just live my life, and before people even realize that I'm vegan, they kind of like me already because you know I've been making them joke, and then like I'll tell them I'm vegan, and they'll kind of you'll watch them go through this thought process of like, do I still like them? You know what I mean? And I usually do. So I'm able to like I'm kind of have decent conversations with guys. Other vegans might not be able to reach out, but I always get the same, like I said, the same reaction. It's like I'm vegan. It's like, are you sure? And it's like I feel like I'm like a pioneer because everyone kind of thinks like vegans are like pale and frail, and it's like I got the pale thing down pat, but I couldn't be frail if I spent $1 million. There's nothing I could do in my life to be frail. So I feel like I'm kind of like a pioneer in that aspect of like breaking the pale and frail stereotype. But it's also another thing, like I'm for like, and this is not a vegan problem. This is like an optics problem from other people and like their own boundaries and their own walls. Is they have these ideas of what they think vegans are, right? And when they meet someone like me, I genuinely feel like I'm breaking that stereotype because they'll say something like, "You're not what I thought a vegan was," and it's not that it's not that I'm any different. It's like maybe you have a warped perception of what you think vegans are. So I'm out there one day at a time, one joke at a time, breaking stereotypes, one bag of Doritos at a time. I feel like if I lost a bunch of weight, like then I would fit the stereotype. So I'm maintaining like a 20-pound overweight weight here just to level out the stereotypes and stuff. I also feel like the vegan myths are hilarious. And we know like plants have feelings and we know like the soy gives men breasts, things. But like I'll go to work, and I'll hear like the craziest stuff. Like the guy told me the other day, he was like, Mongolians weren't vegan and they lived to be like 110 years old, Like this is what I gotta deal with at 7:30 in the morning while I'm trying to eat breakfast at work. A guy telling me that Mongolians live to be 110. And then I'm a skeptic. So my first instinct is to research anything. You tell me something,
Sure.
I'm like, oh shit, 110 is pretty crazy. So apparently, like Mongolians did live to be in their hundreds, right? But they were also like violent alcoholics who didn't bathe, right? Who fucking kept sex slaves as children. So now I'm showing this, and I'm like, hey Frank, like, how much do you really like identify with Mongolians? Because this is describing you to a T right now. Like, I'm gonna send the cops to your basement this afternoon, But that's like the funniest thing for me is kind of the things non-vegans say to me. Like I find it, that's where I get most of my material comes from the nonsense people talk, like, yeah. Oh, where do you get your protein from? The same place
That's
you
a
just
big one.
got that pack of cigarettes you smoked in 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry about me, guy. But yeah, so it's
Roy,
always fun.
I have an idea for new gig for you. What is a movie about vegans that they showcase all the athletes?
Game
eating-
changers.
Game Changer. So maybe you have to do like opposite of Game Changer and get guys like you and me, and
Erase the diabetes.
and showcase it opposite of
Vegans come in all sizes, shapes, colors. There are fat vegans and skinny vegans and tall and short. And
The one thing I'm gonna say is I've never met a vegan that had to get one of his feet amputated off, though. So that's
There
a
you go.
diabetes. That's a diabetes joke. I'm sorry if I offended anyone with diabetes on that joke. My apologies.
Well, I've been biting my tongue the whole time, but on the subject of diabetes and nutrition, because I do know a lot about nutrition. When you talk about whipped cream,
Oh, of course you're vegan, right?
it's more than that. But whipped cream contains saturated fat. And most people don't realize that diabetes is not about eating sugar. It's about eating too much fat. And the fat kind of prevents the insulin from getting the sugar into the cells. So that's where the animal connection comes in. People are eating too much animal fat and it's causing their diabetes. Because there was like some study 100 years ago where a doctor gave people white rice and sugar and their diabetes was reversed. And not that I'm recommending that sugar is a healthy food, but people don't realize the fat connection with their diabetes.
Well,
Enough.
if it makes you feel any better, I have the fat angle and the sugar angle covered in my daily diet.
And you're not diabetic.
Not yet.
Good.
Well, you got to get it first, right? You can't just you don't just wake up with diabetes. There's some warning signs,
Yeah, there are.
And it's a process.
Yeah.
Well, look, Vlad and Rory, this has been a lot of fun talking with you.
Thank you very much.
And tell us
we are
again.
we are looking forward to see you in the restaurant, and we're going to have a lot of questions. Me and Rory interviewing you.
Okay, that'll be fun.
Thanks for having me.
Fun.
This was extremely fun.
Okay, so that you're going to be at Organic Grill. When is this?
April 17th at 8:30.
Okay, April 17th, 8:30. That sounds
We have
good.
a $5 ticket set price, but the $5 is actually goes towards your meal. So when you show up and you order $20 worth of food, paid for the $5 ticket, the food only costs you $15.
Okay, very good. It's a great deal. Great food
Absolutely.
and a great
Thank you
time,
very much.
community. Vlad, I love you. Thanks for
Pleasure.
everything you've created. Rory, it's been a delight meeting you. Everybody, have a delicious week.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.